Imagine this with me just for a moment.
Yeah.
You're stripped of everything you know. You're an old man, skin like leather from the sun and the salt spray.
Mm-hmm.
And you're sitting on this rocky, windswept island.
Mm-hmm.
And let's be really clear here. This is not a Greek vacation spot. It's a prison. You are the last one. Your whole inner circle, everyone you knew, they've all been executed. You're completely alone.
Mm-hmm.
And in that place, that desolate place, the sky just peels back. The whole reality, just dissolves, and you're looking at a throne room that you can't even describe.
Yeah.
But what grabs your attention isn't the lightning or the emerald rainbow or this sea of glass. It's a scroll.
Yeah.
A simple rolled up document in the right hand of God, sealed shut with 7 wax seals.
It is such a powerful, almost cinematic image to start with. And right away, we have to get the stakes here. This isn't just, a storybook.
Yeah.
In the ancient world, a sealed scroll like this was a legal document. It's a title deed to the earth. It's a will. It's the final resolution of all human history. And the tension, the crisis of this whole scene is that no one is worthy to open it.
Literally no one. Not in heaven, not on earth, not anywhere. It's a total cosmic deadlock.
Exactly. And that is where we're going to start today. We are looking at the 7 seals of the apocalypse. And before you think, oh, here we go, doom and gloom, or some kind of Hollywood CGI fest.
Right.
I want to challenge you. What have you always believed these seals are? Is it just punishment? Is it just random chaos? Or is it something else entirely?
Yeah.
We have a massive stack of research in front of us today. We're talking historical context, theological analysis, the little nuances in the original Greek. And honestly, the perspective shifts so dramatically by the time we get to the end.
It really does. So buckle up. We're going to crack these seals open one by one. But I want to ask you, right now, stay with us, please, until the very end, because the most revealing perspective, the one that kind of ties all this chaos together, it comes in the final moments.
And we should probably say, try to set aside what you think you know. Whether you've heard this 100 times in Sunday school or it's your first time, there are layers here that just, they get missed when we only focus on the scary parts.
Okay, so let's set the scene properly. We mentioned the old man, that's the Apostle John.
Yeah.
And the island. It's Patmos.
Patmos, yeah. I mean, if you look it up on a travel website today, it's gorgeous. White buildings, blue sea, tourists everywhere.
Right.
But in the first century, under the Roman Empire, specifically under the Emperor Domitian, it was a penal colony, a place of exile.
And John isn't just some petty criminal. He's a political threat to Rome.
Oh, absolutely. He is the last living apostle. Just think about the psychological weight of that for a second.
Yeah.
Peter was crucified upside down. Paul was beheaded. John is the last one standing. He's isolated, probably feeling like the movement he gave his entire life to is being systematically crushed. He's likely in a quarry, maybe a cave, completely cut off. It's the ultimate low point.
That contrast is what makes the vision so powerful, isn't it? He goes from this Roman prison, a place of total earthly powerlessness, to the throne room of the entire universe.
Right. He sees the ultimate reality that's humming along behind our earthly reality, and that brings us right back to that scroll. We need to do a deep dive on what a seal actually was. The Greek word here is phrages.
Phrages. Okay, so we're not talking about like a sticker, not just an envelope flap you can rip open.
Oh, not at all. Far from it. In the ancient world, a seal was all about authority, ownership, security. If a king wrote a decree or a will, they'd roll it up, pour hot wax on the edge, and press their signet ring into it. And that seal meant 3 things. 1, this comes from the highest possible authority. 2, it's secure. Breaking a royal seal without permission was a capital offense. You could be killed for it. And 3, it denotes ownership.
And this scroll has 7 of them. Why 7? What's the significance there?
Well, in biblical literature, numbers are often symbolic. And 7 almost always represents perfection, completeness, fullness. So this document, this divine plan, is perfectly sealed. It's the complete, non-negotiable will of God for all of creation. The text even says it's written inside and out.
What does that mean?
It means there's no room for edits, no additions. The plan is full, it's comprehensive, it's done.
But then we hit that crisis point I mentioned. An angel shouts out, "Who is worthy to open this?" And there's just silence. And John, he just breaks down. The text says he weeps bitterly. That always struck me as such a raw human moment. Why is he so devastated? Is he just disappointed he doesn't get to see what's inside?
It's so much deeper than just curiosity. John understands the legal ramifications here. If the scroll isn't open, the will is never executed.
Right. If the seals aren't broken, the title deed to the earth is never reclaimed from the powers of evil. It means, by default, that evil wins. It means the Caesars, the dictators, the injustice, the suffering. It goes on forever. There's no resolution, no restoration.
So he's weeping because he thinks history has just hit a permanent dead end.
Exactly. It's the ultimate existential despair.
Yeah.
The idea that this is it. Injustice is the final word. It's a terrifying thought.
Yeah, it is.
But then one of the elders in the vision steps in. He tells him, stop weeping.
Yes. Behold, the Lion of the tribe of Judah has prevailed to open the scroll.
Which is such a powerful royal warrior image.
Yeah.
The lion, the conquering king from prophecy.
You're expecting this, I don't know, this massive, triumphant figure to step forward, a general with a sword, ready for battle. And this is my favorite plot twist in the entire book, when John finally turns to see this lion, what does he see instead?
He sees a lamb. And not just any lamb. He sees a lamb as though it had been slain.
This is the central paradox of the entire book of Revelation. The victory that makes one worthy to open the scroll wasn't won by brute force or military might.
It was won through sacrifice.
The lion is the lamb. That single image reframes everything that's about to happen.
It really does. The one who is about to unleash these devastating seals isn't some angry tyrant. It's the one who died for the world. He's about to judge.
Exactly. The authority to judge the world comes directly from the sacrifice made to save it. Only the one who gave his life has the right to determine the destiny of life.
Okay, so Lamb takes the scroll. The entire atmosphere in heaven shifts. And then we hear this voice like thunder. It says, come. The first seal is broken.
And out rides the first horseman.
The famous 4 horsemen of the apocalypse.
Probably the most famous imagery from the whole book, and maybe the most misunderstood.
Let's look at this first one. It's a white horse. The rider has a bow. He's given a crown. And his mission is to go out conquering and to conquer. Now, just on the surface, white horse, a crown, that looks like the good guy, right?
It does. It looks heroic. And that's precisely where the great debate lies. This is a genuine mystery that has divided scholars for centuries. There are 2 very, very different ways to see this, and both have strong arguments. I'm just curious, what's your gut reaction to that description?
Well, later in the book, in Revelation 19, Jesus comes back on a white horse. So my first instinct is to say, okay, this is the gospel. This is the truth spreading across the earth.
And that is exactly perspective A. Many credible scholars argue this represents Christ, or the powerful spread of the gospel message. And the arguments are strong. Like you said, Jesus is on a white horse later. White is almost always the color of righteousness and purity in the Bible. So in this view, the first thing to happen before the end is this unstoppable wave of truth going out to all nations.
Okay, that's a hopeful start. It feels good. It fits the white hat hero idea. But I know there's a much darker take on this that a lot of modern scholars lean into.
Right. Perspective B. This view argues that the rider is the Antichrist, or maybe more broadly, the spirit of mass deception and false peace.
But why would the bad guy be on a white horse? That feels like, I don't know, false advertising.
That's exactly the point. Deception always mimics the good. If you want to deceive the world, you don't show up with horns and a pitchfork. You show up looking like a savior. You ride a white horse. But look closer at the tiny details in the text. The rider has a bow, but the text never mentions arrows.
A bow with no arrows. I've missed that before.
Yeah.
That totally changes the picture.
It's a crucial detail. What does that suggest? Conquest through threats, maybe? Through diplomacy? Through a false peace treaty, he conquers without firing a shot, at least at first. It's conquest by intimidation.
Okay.
And there's another clue. The Greek word for the crown he gets is Stephanos. That's a victor's laurel wreath, like an Olympic athlete would win.
Right.
Later, when Jesus returns, the text says he wears many diadems, which are royal, kingly crowns. So this first rider could be the great counterfeiter, the ultimate politician who promises a global peace that's actually a trap.
Wow. So it's this tension between the true king and the great imitator. And the text forces you, the reader, to try and discern between them. Is this a spiritual expansion of truth or a political one of false security?
And think about the sequence of events. If this first rider brings a false peace, a kind of global Cold War built on treaties and threats, it sets the stage perfectly for what happens when that fragile peace inevitably shatters.
And that's the perfect microhook for the next seal, isn't it? Because if that first rider brought any kind of peace, real or fake, what comes next destroys it completely.
Exactly. The lamb opens the second seal, and out comes a red horse, a fiery red horse.
The Greek word is pyros, which literally means the color of fire. It's aggressive. It's visceral just from the color.
And this rider is given a very specific task. He gets a great sword, and his job is to take peace from the earth.
I love that phrasing. It doesn't say he brings war. It says he takes peace away.
It's such a key distinction. It implies that peace isn't the default state of humanity. It suggests peace is a restraining force, maybe a gift from God that holds human chaos in check. We tend to think peace is normal and war is the interruption. The Bible often suggests the opposite, that our nature is chaotic and God's grace holds it back.
So when that restraint is removed,
people start killing each other. But look at the text again, the specifics. It says that men should slay one another. The Greek word for slay here is sphazo. It suggests butchery. It's a violent, visceral word. And the implication is civil violence.
So not just army against army.
Not necessarily. This is neighbor against neighbor. It's the total collapse of social cohesion. The trust that holds society together just evaporates.
That feels uncomfortably familiar. We're not just talking about borders on a map changing. We're talking about the very fabric of society ripping apart from the inside.
It's the psychological dimension of the apocalypse. When the false peace of the first seal shatters, maybe because the treaties were lies, trust is the first casualty. And we see that kind of polarization all around us, don't we? The second seal is what happens when human nature is unleashed without divine restraint. It's anarchy.
And what's the first thing that happens when you have widespread war and anarchy? You disrupt supply chains, you destroy crops, the economy grinds to a halt.
Which brings us, inevitably, to the third seal. The black horse.
The black horse.
Right.
And this rider is holding a pair of scales, a balance. And then we hear a voice that lays out the economics of the apocalypse.
Yes, it says, a measure of wheat for a denarius and 3 measures of barley for a denarius.
Okay, let's break that down. Help us with the math. What does that actually mean for the average person trying to buy groceries?
So we have to translate the purchasing power. In the first century, a denarius was the standard day's wage for a common laborer.
1 day, 1 denarius. Got it.
Right. And a measure of wheat was about what one person needed to eat for 1 day.
Wait a minute. So you work all day long from sunup to sundown, and your entire paycheck buys just enough bread for you.
Just you, not your family, not your kids. It's the economics of pure survival. It's hyperinflation. Now, you could buy barley, which was cheaper, more like animal feed.
To lower quality stuff.
Exactly. And for 1 denarius, you could get 3 measures of that. So maybe you could feed your family, but you're still right at the breaking point. You are literally working just to not die today. There are no savings, no future.
That is just a desperate, bleak picture. But then there's this really weird line added to the command. The voice says, "Do not damage the oil and the wine."
Yes. This is one of the most debated little phrases among scholars. Why protect the oil and the wine when everyone is starving for bread?
Yeah, that seems so strange. Is it just about preserving luxuries?
Well, there are 2 main interpretations. Interpretation 1 is all about social inequality. Think about agriculture. Wheat and barley are annual crops with shallow roots. A war or a drought can wipe them out in a season. But olive trees and grapevines, they have deep roots. They're much more resilient. So in this view, the poor who rely on basic grains are starving, but the wealthy, who can afford the luxuries of oil and wine, are basically fine.
So it's a picture of social injustice in a crisis. The shelves are empty of bread, but the high-end liquor store is fully stocked.
Precisely. It paints a picture of a society where disasters widen the gap between the rich and the poor. It feels incredibly modern, doesn't it? The wealthy find ways to insulate themselves.
It really does. But you said there was a second interpretation.
Interpretation 2 is a bit more hopeful. It's about divine mercy. In the ancient world, oil and wine weren't just luxuries. They were essential. Oil was used as medicine to soothe wounds. Wine was used to disinfect water, and both were central to religious sacraments. So this command could be God saying, I will allow this economic hardship, but I will preserve the means for healing and the means for worship. He's limiting the disaster. He doesn't let it destroy everything.
You have this total economic collapse, but with these strange pockets of preservation. It really makes you ask the question, does this picture of economic disparity feel at all familiar to the world we live in today?
It's a question we should all be wrestling with. These seals aren't just a prophecy about some distant future. They describe the recurring patterns of human history whenever it goes off the rails.
And before we move on, if this kind of analysis is helpful for you, if it's connecting some dots you hadn't seen before, please make sure you hit that subscribe button. We're going to keep peeling back these layers.
Yes, because the progression here, It gets darker before we see any light. We've had false peace, civil war, economic collapse. It's a downward spiral.
And it really bottoms out with the fourth seal, fourth horse. The text describes its color as pale.
The Greek word is chloros. It's where we get our word chlorophyll.
Like a plant.
Yeah, but it describes a pale, sickly, greenish yellow color.
So, like a dying plant.
Or decomposing corpse. It's the color of sickness, the color of death. And fittingly, this is the only one of the four riders who is explicitly named. His name is Death.
And he's not alone. It says Hades, or the grave, follows right behind him.
It's a tag team. Death takes the body. Hades takes the soul. They are harvesting. And the scope of their mission is terrifying. They're given authority over a fourth of the earth.
1/4. If you apply that to today's population, that's 2 billion people. That's catastrophic on a scale I can't even imagine.
It's a staggering loss of life.
Yeah.
And the methods listed are basically a summary of what we've already seen, but with a new horror added. Sword, famine, plague, and wild beasts.
That wild beasts part has always felt a little random to me. Like, are we talking about lions escaping from the zoo? What is that?
It's likely symbolic of the total breakdown of civilization. Think back to the book of Genesis. The original mandate for humanity was to have dominion over nature.
Right.
To build cities, tame the land, keep the wilderness in its place. When the wild beasts start killing people on a mass scale, it means society has crumbled so badly that nature is literally reclaiming the territory. It's a reversal of the created order.
Wow. That's a chilling image. Huh? Vines growing over skyscrapers, predators hunting in the streets. But you mentioned something important earlier, that authority was given.
Yes. Even here, in the darkest of the first four seals, there is a limit. A fourth of the earth. Not half, not all of it. It implies God is still restraining the full weight of judgment. He is shaking the world, trying to wake it up, but he hasn't completely abandoned it to destruction.
Okay, so we have these four horsemen creating absolute havoc on earth. But then the fifth seal is opened, and the whole scene changes. The camera shifts completely.
We leave the horses and the chaos on earth, and we zoom back into heaven to an altar.
And John sees souls under the altar. What does that mean, under the altar? Is that like a hiding place?
It's sacrificial language. In the Old Testament temple, when an animal was sacrificed, its blood was poured out at the base of the altar.
Okay.
So by seeing these souls under the altar, the symbolism is incredibly profound. These are people who've been martyred for their faith. Their lives weren't just taken from them. Their lives were poured out as a holy offering to God. It reframes their deaths not as a senseless tragedy, but as a sacred sacrifice.
But they're not quiet. They're crying out, and they're asking a very hard question. How long, O Lord? How long until you judge and avenge our blood?
This is the cry for justice. And we need to be really careful here. In our modern culture, we often confuse a desire for justice with, petty revenge. We think, oh, they should just forgive.
Right, turn the other cheek.
But the Bible is clear. Desiring justice is a holy thing. If you witness horrific evil and you don't want it stopped and judged, there's something wrong with your moral compass.
Of course. If someone hurts your child, your first instinct is a cry for justice.
Exactly. These martyrs are simply asking God to be who he is promised to be. They're asking, when will you finally set things right? When will this stop?
And the answer they get is, it's tough. First, they're given white robes. I assume that means purity, vindication.
Yes, vindication. The world condemned them as criminals. Heaven dresses them as royalty. It's God's public declaration that they were on the right side of history.
But then they're told to rest a little while longer. Why? Until the number of their fellow servants who are to be killed is complete.
This is the hard truth of the fifth seal. It suggests there is a divine count, a specific number. It implies that God has a full, sovereign plan for history, and that plan includes the suffering of his people. It's not random. He's not ignoring their cries. He's waiting for the full picture to be completed according to his timeline.
That's a heavy concept to wrestle with.
Yeah.
That suffering has a quota.
It is. But the flip side of that is that it means suffering has a limit. It will not go on forever. Once that number is complete, the end will come. It tells us that history isn't just spiraling out of control. It's moving toward a defined finish line.
And speaking of the end coming, we get to the sixth seal. And if the first four were specific judgments, war, famine, this one feels like the unmaking of the universe itself.
The sixth seal is the great shaking. It's cosmic collapse.
Walk us through the visuals here, because it sounds like the laws of physics just break.
They do. First, a massive earthquake. Then the sun turns black, specifically like sackcloth made of goat hair, which was a coarse, dark, material. So total darkness at midday.
Wow.
The moon turns the color of blood. The stars fall from the sky like unripe figs shaken from a tree in a strong wind. And the sky itself, it rolls up like a scroll.
It's terrifying. It's like the ceiling of the universe is just being rolled back.
And what's maybe most fascinating is the human reaction. Up until now, different groups were affected in different ways, but this levels everyone. The text lists 7 categories of people: kings, generals, the rich, the powerful, slaves, and free people.
Everybody. From the president in the bunker to the person living on the street, all the distinctions of class and power just vanish.
They mean nothing. No bunker is deep enough, no bank account is big enough to save you. They all run to the caves, to the rocks, and they scream something that is, frankly, one of the most paradoxical phrases in the entire Bible.
Hide us from the face of him who sits on the throne and from the wrath of the Lamb.
The wrath of the Lamb.
We think of a lamb as gentle, sacrificial, weak even. How can a lamb have wrath?
It signifies that God's patience has finally run its course. A lamb allows itself to be sheared. It allows itself to be sacrificed. But if you definitively reject the sacrifice of the lamb, you eventually have to face the judgment of the ram. It's the idea that perfect love, when it's utterly and finally rejected, becomes the very standard by which you are judged.
So they aren't running from some monster. They're running from absolute goodness.
Yeah.
Because their own corruption can't stand to be in its presence.
That's it. They would rather be crushed by rocks than have to look at the fates of the one who made them and loves them. It shows the state of the unrepentant heart. Even when faced with undeniable proof of God's power, they don't say we're sorry. They say, hide us.
Okay, now just before we hit the final seal, the text pauses. There's an interlude. We don't have time to go into massive detail today, but it feels important to mention.
It is. Right before the 7th seal is opened, angels are told to hold back the winds of destruction. Why? So they can seal the servants of God. This is where we get the 144,000 and the great multitude. The key takeaway is that in the middle of this cosmic collapse, God hits the pause button to make sure his people are marked for protection, spiritual protection. They might still suffer physically, but their ultimate destiny is secure.
Which brings us to the grand finale, the 7th seal.
The climax.
After everything we've just seen, you expect a massive explosion. The final trumpet blast, the voice of God booming across the cosmos. But the Lamb opens the final seal. And what happens?
Silence.
Silence in heaven.
For about half an hour.
That is so eerie.
It's incredibly heavy. You have to remember, the vision of heaven started with constant sound. The holy, 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 the thunder, the lightning, the millions of angels singing praise. It is a place of eternal, loud worship. And then suddenly, dead silence.
Why? What does it mean? Is everyone just in shock?
There are a few layers to it. The first one is reverence. It's awe. It's the calm before the storm. The prophet Habakkuk wrote, "The Lord is in his holy temple. Let all the earth keep silence before him." It's the silence in a courtroom right before the judge delivers the final verdict. Everyone holds their breath.
It builds the tension, makes you lean in.
It does. But there's a second, more beautiful meaning. The text tells us that during this silence, an angel comes forward with a censer full of incense, and this incense is mixed with the prayers of the saints.
Wait, so heaven goes quiet, so God can hear the prayers of his people.
That's the powerful implication. God pauses the eternal worship of the angels. He hushes the entire universe to listen to the cries of those martyrs from the 5th seal, to hear every prayer of, "How long, O Lord?"
That gives me goosebumps. It makes the silence feel less like emptiness and more like intense, focused listening.
And the judgments that follow, the 7 trumpets, which are a story for another day, they are the direct response to those prayers. The angel takes the censer, fills it with fire from the altar, and throws it to the earth. The judgment that comes is God finally answering that prayer. Your kingdom come, your will be done.
So the silence isn't abandonment, it's attention. And the judgment isn't just random anger, it's a direct answer.
Exactly.
Wow. We have gone all the way from a weeping old man on a prison island to the profound silence of the entire cosmos. It's a huge arc. And looking back at all 7 of these seals, it's so easy to get lost in the scary details, isn't it? The famine, the swords, the earthquakes.
It is. And that's usually where the fear factor kicks in. People read Revelation and they just get terrified. But we always have to remember who is holding the scroll. The Lamb. The one who loved the world enough to die for it. These seals are not the random tantrums of an angry tyrant. They are the necessary, painful unrolling of history to bring about the restoration of all things. The chaos is limited, it's monitored, It all has a redemptive purpose.
It's like surgery. It's painful and it looks messy, but the surgeon's goal is to save the patient, not to destroy them.
That's a perfect analogy. The cancer of evil has to be cut out so that the world can finally be healed.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, we always like to leave you with a final thought, something to chew on.
We look at the news every day. We see the wars, the economic instability, the natural disasters, and it's so easy to see pure chaos, to think the world is just spinning out of control. But the seven seals suggest that what looks like chaos to us might actually be a scroll being unrolled, a plan being executed by the only one worthy to do so.
And so the real question isn't when will the world end? We get so obsessed with dates and timelines, but the real question the text poses is this: who are you hiding in?
Right. When the great shaking starts, are you running to the caves? Are you putting your trust in your bunker, your bank account, your political party? Or are you hiding in the Lamb?
The caves or the Lamb, that's the choice.
That is the only choice that ultimately matters.
We would genuinely love to hear your take. Which one of these seals do you think speaks most directly to our current moment? Is it the deception of the white horse? The economic pressure of the black horse? Drop a comment below and let's discuss it.
And if this conversation helped you see this incredibly mysterious book in a new light, please subscribe. We have so many more mysteries to unpack together.
Thanks for diving deep with us. And remember, the scroll is in good hands.
The victory belongs to the Lamb.
We'll see you next time.